Well, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while, but that seems to be my standard introduction nowadays to most of these videos. I've been a bit busy, but it's been winter and it's been miserable. I've not really felt motivated to get out with the camera much, and I've not been to anywhere particularly special, so I've really sort of not been doing very much. But today's video is about me solving a problem which apparently has been a bit of an issue for various people with the particular equipment I've got. What I'm referring to is I've got a Epson 18100 printer, which is it's called an ECO Tank printer. Basically, it means you can buy the bulk ink and top the tanks that are in the printer up rather than bothering with the little cartridges that most printers have, which cost a fortune in real terms. I bought this printer maybe this time last year because I had a couple of exhibitions and I wanted to print out some A3 prints using it, and it's been an excellent printer, but my biggest issue with it has been that it's not been possible to print directly from Lightroom in a reliable fashion. And this video is about what I had to do to get around that problem. Before I found the solution this morning, basically the problem was that I had to print any picture that I wanted to print. I had to send it to a JPEG file first, or a TIFF, but normally JPEG. And then, having sent it to a JPEG file, I then had to run the Epson software to be able to print it. And apart from the extra steps involved in that, which just didn't feel natural or right, the Epson software is particularly kludgy and felt like it was written by somebody in the late 70s or early 80s. And it just wasn't a pleasant experience putting through prints that way. So I've been struggling to find out how to make the Lightroom module, print module, actually handle this printer properly. And it's taken a bit of doing, and it appears it's quite a common problem that people on the internet have had, and I've researched it. I've not seen a single solution that is complete, but what I'm going to present to you is my solution, which is pretty much complete. I don't know if it'll apply to other Epson printers, but I think it might help people understand how Lightroom seems to operate in terms of page layouts, printer allocations and various things like that. So let me go and take you to the printer and show you what that looks like, and I'll then explain the issue I was having. Okay, so here is the Epson printer ECO Tank. And the ECO tanks are these permanently fitted tanks in here, one for each of 6 different colours or variants of colours. Black through, light, cyan, magenta, cyan, yellow, light magenta. And if I just lift that pile of paper off the top there and put it on top of the printer that's next to it, which is also a little Epson ECO Tank, this one only has 4 prints. It's just general purpose A4 printer, whereas this one's an A3 Plus printer. So in essence, what we get with this is inside the top here we have a series of fillable tanks, which I showed you on the front down here, and you can see because they're translucent the ink levels in each, so you really only need to keep an eye on where the ink levels are and top them up. But let me just run you through what's involved in topping one of these up, and let's take the light magenta one. I don't know if it needs topping up. I can see from the front it needs a little bit, but not very much. So in essence, what's involved is taking the lid off one of these tanks, which are a bit tight, not tanks, but the bottles, filler bottles. And from the size of it, you can see it's quite large, and therefore it's got a lot of ink in it. And one of these bottles costs approximately £14, which given the 6 bottles is roughly £90. And that is excellent value in my opinion, because the number of prints we can get is a lot. Now if you look at the top of the bottle, if I hold it close to the camera, if it'll focus on it, which it probably isn't going to, it's got a series of notches, and those notches match up to notches or opposite notches in the particular tank's docking. So if I put this in here, and it only goes one way around, and each bottle only fits one particular, if I could get this right, there. So all you do is you drop it in like that and wait for the bubbles to stop, and because it was nearly full already it didn't take many seconds, and once it's stopped you lift it out, no drips, no mess, no nothing, and then Obviously you can do that for all of the remaining tanks in the sequence. I've already filled this up this morning. So yes, having already filled this up once this morning to do some printing, I don't really need to do it, but I just thought I'd demonstrate how simple that process is. And okay, so we close the top of the printer up, and that's pretty much the printer. And as you can see on the printer, there is actually an A3 Plus printer or printed image here. And if we pull this over here, we can into the sunlight, a brighter light, we should be able to see that this is a picture I took a few months ago in Lake District of Ashness Bridge, trying to get the reflection of it. And the image quality from this printer is very, very good. I'm very impressed with it. In fact, that's why I've got two printers that are pretty much the same, but one's only for general purpose use. I've not got any problems with this printer. I've never had anything jam up. I've never had any of the ink cartridges or the pathways to the print head in any way need cleaning. It's been absolutely 100% reliable. I previously had a normal printer that had cartridges in it, and they were just always going wrong, always needing replacing, and they were always costing a fortune. So this is really economic way to print. Highly recommend it. Anyway, back to Lightroom so that we can look at what it is my problem was. Okay, so here we have an image taken in the Lake District, a bit like the one I took at Ashness Bridge that I showed you that was just being printed. This is an early morning scene. I think it was near to where is it? Can't remember. I just stopped at the side of the road. There was nice early morning light and mist in the fields. I think it was just near Buttermere, actually, if I remember correctly. But in the comments, please put the right thing if you actually know where this is. So we've got an image here, and I want to print it, so I have to switch into the print module. And I've got a series of presets or templates set up here, and I've chosen to put them in a folder called A3 Printer Templates. That's because each one of these templates is fine-tuned to actually work at A3 Plus. I should have called it A3 Plus, but it says 19-inch or A3 up here. So if we take my landscape default, which is this one, essentially I've got my logo at the bottom, and I have 5mm on three sides and 15mm at the bottom for the logo to fit on. And I quite like that layout. That works for me. So let me explain what I had to do to get this to be reliable. First of all, I open up the page settings, and you can see here it's already got A3 Plus set up and the printer set up. So you choose the printer. I've got two. In this case, it was already correct, and equally it's A3 Plus, but by default it was previously doing A4 every time I did it, and I didn't realize that I actually had to come in and say A3 Plus and its landscape orientation, and we say OK to that. Now the important part in this, and this is a thing that I kept forgetting and I suspect other people trip up on, is you immediately have to register those changes that I didn't really make any changes, but had you have made them, against the particular template where it says update with current settings. You say yes to that. So that those settings of A3 Plus, which are shown here, and the printer are locked in to this particular template going forwards. So every time you select that template, it doesn't matter what other template you've used. So if I switch to another one, that one's also A3 Plus in my main printer, but it's a panoramic format. It will have all of those values set up as demonstrated by going back in here, and you can see they are. There's also a print settings dialog, which also gets recorded when you do an update on a particular template. Again, it's got the same printer, but it's got presets, default settings here. Now, I've got Best A3 Plus as a preset, so it's now custom. And if I subsequently save that and say update this template with the current settings, that will now be what it uses next time. So what I'm going to do is tell it to print that print. And bear in mind, my problem before was that everything got printed as A4. In fact, what I'm going to do is close Lightroom and open it again with the same image. So let's just wait for it to update and stop running. It stopped running. Open it up again. Rather silly looking front logo picture, but hey ho. Okay, so I haven't touched anything. It's come straight back into the print module. So what I'm going to do is tell it to print that, which it'll go and do, starting on preparing print job. And if we go for a walk into the kitchen and ensure we've got a piece of A3 plus paper in the printer, it's starting to get ready to print, so I've got to be a bit quick about this. And that's it trying to print now. So we've just got the paper in time. That's now going to print that, hopefully. A lot of chuntering noises and printer doing stuff noises. So, yep, off it goes. Right, the first thing I can see is the amount that's moving down for each pass of the print head. It's only moving down 3 or 4 millimeters. Now that tells me, because I know this printer, that tells me that's running at its finest particular settings, because if I don't have it on the finest settings, it does about an inch every pass, because the print head is roughly an inch wide, and it will do the whole print in about 8 seconds, but it's lower quality and it's just a waste of paper and ink to do that. So I know that's printing at full highest image quality that it's capable of, and it's a case now of just waiting for it to get to the point that print pops out. Have a look at it. So join me in a second. And there we have it. One print in incredibly fine detail, high resolution. Took about 2.5 to 3 minutes to print that. My logo, I notice, isn't in the right place. I'll have to fix that later, but that's a simple thing to do. So we've now got one very nice early morning print of somewhere near Borrowdale. I think it was Borrowdale. I'm pretty sure it is actually. So that's I don't know if you found that useful. Hopefully you did. I'm going to be producing another video a bit later this morning on the subject of my ongoing camera choices and indecision on which system to keep, whether my Sony or my Olympus system, both of which I've got full systems of, but I'll go into that in the next video. I'll explain my problems. Anyway, I hope you liked that. Give it a thumbs up if it was in any way useful or helpful, and we will see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, and click the notification icon and the bell, and you'll be able to be notified when I upload new videos.